Hello, everybody. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today in what has been like the greatest of all hot streaks. Sunny day in Chattanooga. Temperature is still cool, but I'll take it. We haven't gotten really cold yet, so I'm not gonna die. Not yet. I hate the cold. I hate it so much. I hate it and I don't hate it because I have a bunch of jackets that I'm a fan of. I'm very, very cool jackets. And the winter is the only time I can wear these jackets. But also, I need jackets in the winter because it's cold, and that makes me upset. I don't like it. I don't like it not one bit. And we have a stool here in the studio. Kind of rest your leg on the stool, the important piece of equipment that was missing a week ago. And somebody needs to talk to Mr. Judd. I want an apology from him. He put his name in the form of a sticker on the stool that is for everyone. How selfish? Like, how selfish can you possibly be? This is our stool. It is a communal stool inside the studio of Hot News Talk Radio, and we share it. Nobody owns this, and he's put his name on it. So there you go. You want to bother him about it, Mr. Judd? You can catch him from 11 to noon. Remind him that he is a selfish person that puts his name on items that belong to everyone. Is he going to put his name on the road now? Is he going to put his name on the public library? Where are we going with this? This is a sports show. We didn't start that way, but here we are. And it's Alabama week. It's Bama week. That, as I have lived here, there's nothing that Tennessee fans hate more than Alabama, than maybe Florida. Maybe Florida. Hate Florida more, but it's real close. It's like 1A and 1B in terms of hatred there. And the Vols are 3-3, coming off a bye last week. And one of the things that was really cool about the Vols being on a bye is that we didn't have to talk about Butch Jones, and we didn't have to talk about how his job might be not in jeopardy, but his seat is a little bit toasty. It's not hot. It's just a little warm. Being 3-3 with the recruiting class that he brought in, I get the sense that that's not acceptable. That there was a lot of expectations coming in. There was a lot more that people expected of this team coming in, and they didn't get it. They haven't gotten it. And it's been very disappointing. A lot of close losses, a lot of blown leads that really come down to decisions that Butch Jones chose to make. Like, it's not like you've got players out there choking, but he's just the Florida game, a series of terrible decisions, a couple in the Oklahoma game as well, that you have this game in hand. And if Tennessee wins those games, you know, we're talking about a team that could be 5-1 here coming up against Alabama. So Butch Jones is basically coaching right now just to win the fan base back, because this is how it starts. This is what makes a seat toasty. Okay. An athletic director hires a coach because he believes that guy can win. You're not just going to start to axe the coach just because the fan base gets a little unsettled. You don't just go, the fans don't like you right now. The winning that they felt that they were promised isn't here, so I'm going to have to let you go. Like, it's very unusual for a coach to have a very short tenure unless you go full Steve Sarkisian or something like that. It's rare. Okay? And Butch Jones, this is basically that year 3 that you start talking about. This is when the team starts to look a little bit different. You've got your guys in there. You ought to start winning now. And look, to his credit, this team looks better than it did. Sure, they didn't win some of those games, and they were close games. It's not like they went into Oklahoma and just got smoked. It's not like they went down to Florida and just got skunked. It's not like they did that. But those were winnable games, so it's obviously frustrating. And this is what makes the seat toasty. Just a little bit. Just a little bit warm is when the fan base starts to feel like nothing's changed. And if you look at the record on paper, 3-3 going up against 6-1 Alabama, doesn't look like a whole lot's changed, but it has. But if Tennessee's able to beat Alabama this weekend, if they are, first off, being able to ruin the Crimson Tide season, that would be fun. Because Alabama could make it into the playoff, and I don't know that they do with 2 losses. You know, it's the new playoff format. 1 loss doesn't kill you. But 2 losses is still hard to justify and overcome. And simply because the SEC is a tough conference doesn't mean that you get in. That a 2-loss SEC team, just from how at least the committee worked a year ago, and it is different people on the committee, but from how the committee worked a year ago, 2 losses in a tough conference doesn't necessarily get you in. That, and you've got to win a conference championship. That has more weight than anything. So those are the 2 things that we learned from year 1, and we'll see if they carry over into year 2. But being able to stop Alabama from doing that, Butch Jones would have the Tennessee fans back in a heartbeat. Because you'd have beaten Georgia and Alabama back to back, which would be huge for showing what this team is that you've built and the potential. Now, I mean, you start 3-3 next year. Well, that's a different conversation. But this is still acceptable. Like, this is still the growing pains. Your quarterback's young. Your running back's young. Your defense is really young. Sure, you've mishandled those receivers, but they're young. You've had to overcome some things. You lose Pig Howard. I mean, it's one of those situations where you got to cut him some slack. I mean, cut Butch Jones some slack here. He hasn't been bad. He's been knuckleheaded, admittedly, especially with some of his decisions. And when you combine that with the fact that he's prone to giving cliches to the media, how he handles the media isn't particularly well liked. He doesn't come off as arrogant or cocky. He just doesn't come off like he cares as much as you do, which is not fair, by the way. It's not fair to say that because he doesn't go full Brett Bielema that he doesn't care. And by the way, when Arkansas is losing, when Brett Bielema says Bielema things, that blows up in his face too. Like, there's no way to really win this, okay? Either you're the guy that says the outrageous things a la Brett Bielema, Rex Ryan, or you're the guy that doesn't say everything that you intend to say. You just kind of keep things very close to the chest, a la Butch Jones and Bill Belichick. But because you're not winning, Belichick sounds like a genius for doing that. Butch Jones sounds like he just doesn't care. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio. Our Twitter handle is at Hot News Radio. Mine is at Sports Cloud. That's where you can find me. I'm talking about Butch Jones and how he can win back this fan base a little bit. And I honestly, beating Alabama would do it. Honestly, I mean, seriously, because of the expectations that we had of Tennessee going into this season, and then the expectations after those heartbreaking losses. Those 2 things right there, Those two things allow for Tennessee to look more like an underdog, to come back here. Okay, it's not like we had them at national title levels, but we had them as pretty good. And then now that they had struggled previously, but coming off a win against Georgia, you've basically put the expectations back to where maybe they should have been in the first place, which is that this is a very good team, but it's not a great team yet. They can beat teams that are better than them, but they don't necessarily always win the games that they need to, which is the difference between a good team and a great team. And some of those losses, they're tough to swallow, admittedly. And you've got the personality of a Butch Jones. He gives the opponent a lot of credit before games, which people will say it sounds like he's making excuses beforehand. And you can interpret it that way. It's not fair, but you can interpret it that way. And looks like we've got a call here. Mr. Judd from 11 to noon. Mr. Judd is calling into Clutch with Keon Rose. Hey, Mr. Judd, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I think you're spot on when you're talking about Butch Jones in Tennessee, and I think the same thing with the Arkansas coach, Brett Bielema. It's time for us to see if they can coach in the SEC. I mean, we know Saban can, and when you go up against Saban, he's the measuring stick. So can Butch Jones do this?
Well, thanks. I do think that he can, actually. I do believe that he can. One of the reasons why I do think that is because of how well that he does recruit. And if he's able to get himself into a position where he's winning big games consistently, not the goofs that we've seen at the end of some of these games, right, but winning big games consistently, I don't see why he can't.
Well, I'm going to differ with you on that. And as an Arkansas fan on Brett Bielema, they both come in. They're in the greatest conference in the United States and in college football, without a doubt, and they're both trying to build a program. But both of these gentlemen, as coaches, they followed a very, very successful coach and a program that was already built. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about that, Keon. Goodbye.
All right. Later. Thanks for calling, by the way. This is Clutch with Keon Rose. You can call into the show. 800-8949 is the number. 800-8949. And call into Hot News Talk Radio. We've got you covered. What I think about Brett Bielema is, honestly, he doesn't help himself. He talks too much, and it makes it hard to accurately judge him when they lose. He's got a very good system, and Arkansas has sustained some injuries this season. It's made it very hard for them to win with the style of football that they play because they lost running backs, and they are a running team. And it's not just a plug and play situation. It may appear so, but you have talented guys at that position, guys that you recruited to be top tier backs for you, and you lose them. It doesn't help anything when it comes to coaching. And I think that you look at a guy like Nick Saban, he has the longevity, and he's got the team sold on him already. Like he's the guy that he's been in that position so long. He recruits from anywhere. He gets whoever he wants. And he never has to look over his shoulder to worry, like, do I have my job today? Do I not have my job? And I think that helps. Ultimately, like being able to coach in the SEC, a lot of it is you're beating up your own conference. It's a very tough conference to play, and you're beating up your own conference. And people want to know, can you win those big games in the conference? Yeah, the games out of the conference matter too. People were upset that Butch Jones lost to Oklahoma. They were infuriated that he lost to Florida. The Florida game mattered more. Saban doesn't really lose those. Saban doesn't lose games in conference. Not very often. Doesn't happen very often, not to him. And I think that the continuity that he has with his team, that other coaches, you're there 3-4 years, and then we're looking for the next guy, and Saban's been there forever. The continuity gives him an advantage that other coaches don't have, which makes him one of the better coaches, not just in the SEC, but in all of college football, to be honest. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. You can catch Mr. Judd from 11 to noon. I forgot to ask him about the stool situation going on here. Why did he label that with his name? We'll be back with more SEC talk next.
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.
Al Gore running is crazy. You're flying around in your private jet all over the world, and you want average Americans to care about the environment. Don't you think you should be doing your part as well?
Meghan McCain, weekdays at 7 p.m.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Tired of insurance companies? Tired of doctors that won't spend time with you? Do something different. Leave the sick care model of medicine and come to Dr. Danielle Mitchell, the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health, where we're interested in long-term health solutions, not the quick fixes. Come see me, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, at the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health. I'm all about the long-term healthcare solutions and doing what's best. On the web, you can find me at ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. That's ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Or call us at 875-1005, 875-1005, or find us on social media, Facebook, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, or the ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Let's go, ya!
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
That smells so good. Smells like a big Italian dinner. But you're going to walk out with two. Buy one hot pizza, get a one for free. 2 pizzas. You got the 2 for the price of 1 at Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. My favorite Italian restaurant of all the time. Now, I'm living in Hicks, and I go to Raphael's right down the street in Hicks and Pike, right near Highland Plaza. You're in Saudi Daisy? At Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria in Saudi Daisy. Just next to Saudi Daisy Church of God. Hey, you're on Signal Mountain? There's a Raphael's Italian Restaurant and a Pizzeria. It's right on the main drag. You're going to love the pasta, the pizza. Buy one hot pizza, get a one for free. 2 pizzas. You got the 2 for the price of 1 at Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Tastes so good. Bring the whole family. Come on, Raphael's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Mangia. Salute.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. Did you know that 1/4 of the world's population will experience mental illness? My guest this week is former Congressman Patrick Kennedy, who says the United Nations must make mental illness a priority. Find out why this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You're looking at the rest of Tennessee's schedule. You're a Vols fan. There's a lot to be excited about there. Okay, five games left on the skid, and Alabama's the biggest one. Alabama's the toughest one left, and it's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking to look and see the loss to Florida and the loss to Oklahoma, and even the loss to Arkansas in a way, because that one was close as well. But especially the Oklahoma-Florida loss, because they had that in hand. They had those games in hand. They really did. But You're 5-1 if you win those games. You're going up against Alabama, and you're 3-3. So say you beat Alabama from here, you have the chance to win out from here. You've got Kentucky, which Kentucky's, not a slouch team, by the way, but they're not better than Tennessee. Then South Carolina, and it's still, left to be seen how good they are without Spurrier, and especially because of just how unpredictable games that involving Tennessee and Steve Spurrier always have been. It's hard to say where that one goes without him being there now. So they're better than South Carolina. Don't know how much better. And then Missouri is a team that I literally from week to week, you just don't know what to get with them at all. But these are all winnable games from here on out. And then they end the season with Vanderbilt. So these are all winnable games from here on out. And if you beat Alabama and you win out, that is disappointing, but it would show the progress that this team has made. That this is not the Tennessee of old. Okay, this isn't Dooley's Tennessee. I just think that we come down on Butch really hard because of the games that he had in hand. And part of winning is finishing games. You don't play 3/4 of a game. You play 4 quarters. Okay, you can't get $1 with 3/4. That's the long running joke there. The difference between the Vols and $1 is that $1 is worth 4 quarters. You can't play 3/4 of a football game and win it, especially against teams of the caliber of Oklahoma and what Florida has turned out to be. Admittedly, we did not know that they would look like this at the time, but we knew the defense going in was going to be good. Didn't know the offense was going to be as good. And, maybe you're kicking yourself a little bit and going, why couldn't Will Grier have been suspended before Tennessee played them? That is, you know what? That's a fair question. That would have been nice. That would have been nice. Didn't work out that way, though, but it would have been nice. But Alabama, they're 15-point favorites. We're going to do the picks tomorrow. I'm not going to give away my pick, but this could be an interesting game. It could be. It's like, yes, Alabama, they're dominant, they're big, they're strong, they're powerful. Nick Saban, certainly at this point, definitely, without the shadow of a doubt, better coach than Butch Jones. Butch has got a long way to go, but I don't think that we should just scratch him off yet. That literally, after the Florida loss, people were just talking about, well, how long is he going to be here? Like, we're already looking ahead to the next coach. And what I was telling Mr. Judd last segment here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio was that very often that look to the next coach mentality, like, oh, looks like we're 3-3 this year, already down the tubes, let's look to the next coach, doesn't allow you to build the continuity in terms of recruiting, the continuity in terms of system, the continuity even in terms of establishing your own identity within the conference that is required for winning. You need to be able to do that. That you see it all the time, especially in like the NFL is like the biggest example just because you don't have the high turnover rate of players that you do in college. But the teams that are constantly firing and hiring coaches are usually never good. The Raiders have had like 1 million coaches, and that's part of the reason why they're not good. Part of it is not hiring the right guy in the first place, but part of it is when you do hire a guy that's pretty decent, he's got the shortest of all possible leashes, and just as he starts to institute his system and guys start to buy in, he's gone. And you can't do that. Like, it's even worse in college because when you recruit, you're recruiting guys that are going to be there for 3-4 years. You need to have them all fit into your system. And when you show up, none of those guys do fit into your system. It takes 3 to 4 years roughly for you to even get all of the guys that you recruited on the team, like playing and contributing regularly. Okay, like the next man up mentality works just fine for players. You can move on from players. You really should try not to move on from coaches that often. You have to have a coach that has some kind of continuity. Not everybody's Jim Harbaugh. Not everybody's going to show up and just all of the players buy into just whatever this guy's selling. Like he just showed up and this is how it is now. Like not every coach is that. And Butch Jones, for as long as he's been here, like we ought to know by now, he's definitely not that. And the guys that he's brought in, they're here. The team is competing. I think we just saw the way that they ended last season, got a little too caught up in the hype, got a little too caught up in, wow, maybe Tennessee's back. You know, maybe we're looking at late 90s Tennessee again. And because of that, we were disappointed this season when maybe this is what they are right now. And it's not fair to want them to be anything else just yet, right? Like the expectations you do have to have high expectations at some point. Like nobody's saying that you walk around and you don't care who or what is winning or losing. Like, okay, as long as they try, it's okay. Nobody's saying that. But you can't build upon unreasonable expectations. You can't have expectations that aren't reasonable in the first place and then be disappointed when they aren't met. I mean, you got to put the team in a position to succeed for you personally. Right? Like what did we think the Vols were going to do this year? Did we think that they were capable of winning the conference? Did we think that they were capable of winning the East? I'll be honest and straight up and fair with you. I did. But that's not the case. So you have to readjust your expectations. Walk it back a little bit. And if you actually look at it, you're not looking at a bad team. You're not looking at a team that's going around getting waxed by everybody. You're not looking at a team that's losing to people that they should be beating soundly. Okay, because in retrospect, Florida's really good. Oklahoma, those guys over there, they're pretty good. I mean, they lost to Texas, but they're pretty good. And Arkansas is not looking great, but they play a style of football that doesn't play well with Tennessee. Like you got two teams trying to grind it out, and nobody grinds it out better than Arkansas does. That's just how they play. They'll just run you into the ground. And when it comes to playing against them, it's hard to outplay them at this style that they've basically been refining for a very long time. It's hard to. So to expect Tennessee to be able to necessarily have just punched through those teams, like when you look back in the context of those games, it really is not as obvious that Tennessee should have won those outside of the fact that they had the lead in those games going into the end. And that to me is the biggest thing that Butch Jones needs to change. And not that he's a bad coach or that he can't coach in the conference, because I don't think that's the case necessarily. It's that he's not a finisher. But you can become that. You can bring in players to help you become that. And just with the experience of it, you can become that. And what you don't want to see is Butch Jones go off to another school and become that, because Vols fan couldn't be patient enough for him to become that here for them. That's all I'm saying. This is AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, and baseball, the playoffs, they're in full swing. Last night, the Royals lose to the Jays. Johnny Cueto gets lit up like a Christmas tree. After after I defended Johnny Cueto, there is nothing up. And looks like we've got a call here. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, Clutch. I had a question. Now, I did not actually see the game, but I watched a replay of the failed punt from Michigan and Michigan State, and I've been reading where a lot of people were really, really jumping up and down on the punter. But from what I was able to see, it looked more to me like it was a bad snap because he was having almost diving for the ball, and I was wanting to see did you see something I didn't see? Was it the punter or was it the person hiking the ball?
I would have thought the punter just watching it straight up, but I've seen it a few times now. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to put the blame there on the long snapper. That's just a hard thing to do. The snapping, especially in that pressure of a situation, and it looked like he snapped it short.
Yeah. And so I've been trying to figure out. I mean, it looked like the punter, once he got control of the ball, he was trying to lateral it to one of those other guys, I guess. I mean, I really don't know what was going on there because, like I said, I wasn't really watching the game.
I don't know exactly what was going through his mind. I think that he was still going to try and punt it, and what he should have done probably is just get down. I mean, time's running out. Just get down. Don't even bother trying to kick the ball away. And by giving it up that way, Michigan State was able to capitalize.
Yeah, touchdown is capitalized.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, what a fluky play. I mean, of all of the ways to lose a game, that has to be the most soul-crushing. That's got to be one of the most soul-crushing ways to lose a game. I don't know how else to put that. At all. Like that play, that's like you're never going to see that. That's a level of unplanned craziness. And if you're Michigan, I mean, you have to be so disappointed because of how well they played for most of that game. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Like, every time I watch that play, it makes me worry a little bit. It makes me sweat a little bit. Like, that's the thing that can actually happen in sports. Like, that's the reason why you watch these things all the way out to the end, that all Michigan had to do was complete a punt. And the long snapper leaves it short, and it's bobbled around. And I mean, I've seen this from 4 or 5 different angles now, and I honestly don't know what happened. Like, and I don't know. Like, if you're the punter in that situation, it's easy to say, oh, he should have gotten down. He should have gotten down. But like, that's in the heat of the moment. Like, you're not expecting that to happen. You've got a million dudes in your face, and like, you try to save the game, and it costs you. And we're gonna have Bill Bender on later this week of Sporting News, college football writer. He was actually in Ann Arbor for the game. Talked to him a little bit earlier this week. He said it's the craziest thing he'd ever seen. So we're going to talk to him about it. He was actually there. I wish I was actually there. That to me, you're never going to see that kind of thing in your life. Like, never in your life. And I can't imagine what you're thinking there. Like, you're the punter or you're the snapper even, and you understand that if you mess this up, it's over for you. Like, people don't care about punters. Really? Like, name the punter of whatever team you like. If you're a casual fan, you can't. He's just the guy that punts the ball until he screws up. Then we all know who that guy is. You know what I mean? That's rough. That's real rough. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll talk a little baseball playoffs next.
You You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of feeling like just another account number to your financial advisor? Try something refreshingly different. Call Edward Jones Financial Advisor Patrick Neal in Hickson at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Social media, we're on that. Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook, at Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Download the TuneIn app and follow us anywhere at any time. AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
So last night, the Royals play the Jays, and Jays light them up, score 11 runs, absolutely leveled Johnny Cueto, who looked like he was turning things around a little bit in that last series when he played in the game 5, ended the series. But I mean, the Jays on offense, man, that's a team that can really hit. Troy Tulowitzki playing incredibly. 1 homer, 3 RBIs, scored 2 runs. But he also was tossed out of the game for talking to the umpire. He said it wasn't a strike. He said the umpire was staring him down as he was getting into position, and he told the umpire, it just, whatever the call that you made last call, that wasn't a strike, and the umpire just tossed him. And honestly, you look for that accountability in sports, especially from the people who are supposed to be watching the game and being impartial. There's an impartiality that you want them to have. Umpires, referees. You're the manager of the game. I ought not to know who you are. I shouldn't. Sure. Now we have another call incoming here. Caller, you are on the air.
Hey, Clutch, this is Tex. I'm doing an on-the-scene report there over here at the East Lake Courts at 28th and 4th Street. There's been some sort of incident. They've actually got 28th Street closed down, and part of the parking lot in East Lake Court also cordoned off. There's probably about 15 to 20 squad cars over here and an ambulance. So if anybody's going around the 28th and 4th Street areas, they probably need to detour.
All right. Say that street name one more time.
With East 28th Street and 4th Avenue.
All right. So if you are headed out that way, and thank you, Tex. If you are headed out that way, make sure that you avoid it. Make sure you avoid it. There's a big situation going on over there. All right. So is it callous and weird to go from, there's a SWAT team might be involved in a situation here locally in Chattanooga? Is it weird to jump from there back to my point about baseball as though that did not completely happen? Because now it feels strange. Like I was literally just about to jump back into my take on Troy Tulowitzki getting tossed from a baseball game, and it seems a little bit more insignificant now. And I'm not here. Boy, I feel conflicted because it's not like I've taken the high road here before. Okay, I did laugh last week at a 100-year-old woman who also was a Mets fan. In fairness, I feel like I was laughing more at the fact that she was a Mets fan, but also, I imagine if she's been a Mets fan all of her life and she's been watching baseball since she was like, let's say 6 years old. I'm also taking into account the fact that she's 100. So I'm basically laughing at her processing about 94 years of baseball misery. So her age does play a factor, but also it's the Mets. That's funny, right? And then now we have a situation over by Brainerd, East 28th and Courts. I don't know how I can't read my own handwriting. And now I feel callous having jumped from there. East Lake Courts. Avoid it. There's a situation going down over there. There's SWAT. Tex called in. He was reporting. Tex of Cowboy Up with Tex from 6 to 7 here on Hot News Talk Radio. And I was about to jump cleanly from a situation here in Chattanooga involving the SWAT team into my Troy Tulowitzki sports take. I didn't even give it a second thought. I was like, well, okay, now that that's finished, let's just talk some more baseball as though there's not something happening here locally. This is why, okay, being a sports guy at a station is a conflicting job, because usually the regular news, the quote unquote real news that is actually happening on this earth is more important. And as the sports guy, you are aware that this is more important. Okay, it's not like I don't live in a bubble. I understand that there are things that are happening in this world that are not sports. I get that. But it is not my job to necessarily cover all of those things. So do I just ignore it? And here comes Russell with the real news person to talk about real news.
Fortunately, it happens to be my job to cover these things. Okay, so last night there were 3 people shot at East Lake Courts.
Oh boy.
So we can discern that this is probably most likely an arrest is what's going on. I just called the Chattanooga Police Department. They can't say anything about it, obviously, because it's still ongoing.
Of course.
But we'll keep you updated at 5 here on Hot News Talk Radio. So go back to your regular programming. If anything else happens, I'll jump in.
Okay. So there that is. Now we've got that all cleared up. Make sure to tune in to Hot News Now at 5, the local drive home show with our very own Russell, our news director. He's amazing and he's fantastic. And I want nothing to do with this real people news involving real people problems. I just do the sports. No, don't mind me. I don't mind ruining your day and waxing philosophical about whether or not we should like football any longer because of head injuries. I don't mind doing that. But when it comes to actually ruining your day with real life violence that is really happening here, I don't want anything to do with it. And I feel bad about not wanting to do anything about it, but not bad enough to stop talking about sports. And apparently, take on Troy Tulowitzki being tossed out of a baseball game is more, a baseball game that his team won is more important. There's just a level of guilt and shame there that I have. Just not enough to make it not happen. So if you're just going to pardon my insensitivity here, I hope that everything is actually okay over by East Lake Courts, outside of what's already been reported. And we will have more on that for you. Tune in to Hot News Now at 5 with Russell. And there's too many things happening right now. So I looked over at the TV that's playing the news in the in the station, and there's a soccer player that got injured, and so they come to get the stretcher for him, and they they drop the stretcher on him while he's rolling on the ground in pain. Then they pick him up and put him on the stretcher. As he's running away, as they're running away with him, they drop him, And here's Tex with another update here on Hot News Talk Radio. Hey, Tex, you're on Clutch with Keon Rose.
Yes, on a follow-up on that incident over in Eastlake, there was a fatality. From what I'm understanding, it looks like a robbery gone bad where the victim was the fatality. He was shot. So we have at least one victim. They said there was like 3 of the perpetrators who fled the scene on foot, and the police right now have a fairly large area over here cordoned off and are following up on that attempted robbery/murder.
All right. Thank you for the update.
Okay.
Thank you for the update. That is Tex of Cowboy Up with Tex here on Hot News Talk Radio. You can catch him from 6 to 7. We are live and local all day long. And as you can tell, do we not do a great job of breaking the news? Okay, I do feel bad about that. Does this station not do a great job of breaking the news? I said we, like I did anything there. I did none of these things. I was laughing at a man being carried off on a stretcher in a soccer game when that broke, and I can no longer laugh at that because there has been a fatality, and I don't know what to talk about now. I got 5 minutes of show left, and honestly, I'm looking down at it, and everything that I have written down seems so drastically and entirely trivial compared to what is actually happening in my real life. In the real life of this city that we are all participating in, it's getting to be Mr. Judd, maybe he can help me lighten the mood here. I don't know what to talk about right now. Mr. Judd, this is Clutch with Keon Rose. What do I talk about?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm calling to help you out here, brother. And you handle that's fine. I mean, and I laugh at soccer all the time because for me, it's nothing but cross country, but with the ball. But anyway. You did a good thing handling the news. Got another breaking news. We've got sky striping going all over Chattanooga right now. Encourage everyone to step out, look in the sky. There's not a cloud, but there's all these marks. And you talk about Pokemon being evil, and you talk about the mark of the beast. What is going on in our sky right now? And I'll let you have your show back.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's Mr. Judd. Mr. Judd Show from 11 to noon. Always asking the important questions. I'm not going to lie. That entire question there had so many things going on with it that I don't know where to start with that. We've got Mark of the Beast reference. We've got a Pokemon reference. And we've got markings in the sky, which I'm looking out the window at a perfectly blue sky, and there is nothing there. Like nothing. So if this is the wackiest that this show has ever become. I don't mind poking fun at myself, and I don't mind letting you inside the studio, as it were, with me to experience my confusion here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. If I mess up on the show, I don't mind telling you that I messed up, because that's what you listen for. You're listening to a human being and his opinions. You're listening to me and my opinions. So I'm not going to pretend to be perfect for you. I'm not. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. If I have an opinion on something, you'll know. If I'm worried about something, you'll know. If I mess up doing something, you'll know. And I'll try and be humorous, and I'll try and laugh at myself. But honestly, this last segment has been, I don't know, has it been a success or not? I was talking about baseball, and someone's been shot. So now I feel bad about talking about baseball. So when that happens, when I become worried about these things, I go into meta commentary mode where I start to talk about the triviality of talking about baseball in light of the fact that someone has died. So I suppose I could keep going with my baseball take. Let's do that. Let's do that, because I don't know how to answer Mr. Judd's Pokemon question. I have no clue. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We were talking about Troy Tulowitzki getting tossed out of the baseball game, and I was going to say that the person who is in charge of managing the game and making sure that the game is fair and impartial, he should not be the person staring down another player. He shouldn't have opinions. But we get to this thing where we say referees are people too, but they shouldn't act like people. there. Okay, like when you're doing a job, you are, yes, a human being, but you are also whatever that job dictates. Okay? And he that's completely out of line for the referee. And it's the guy on the stretcher again. They showed it again. They dropped him off the stretcher, and the best part here is that he's flopping. They bring him down to the sideline, and he's just going to stand back up because what he's doing is not real. Oh, man. Soccer is the best. Soccer is actually the best. I want my officials in charge of the games to not be so thin-skinned, like to be able to, or to have so much opinion in that moment. He's a human being, yes, so he should try. He's going to have opinions and biases because that's just human, but he should try to dismiss as many of those as possible. That's why earlier in the season, in the NFL season, when Cam Newton said that Ed Hockley told him that he was not old enough, he did not have enough seniority to get a call that most quarterbacks would normally get, that's troubling to me. Because that means, if it's true, if Cam Newton is correct, that Ed Hockley is bringing his opinion into his job where he should not have an opinion. He needs to be neutral. We are journalists here at Hot News Talk Radio. And while we're human beings and we're not going to get every story 100% correct, we need to try to be impartial. That is our jobs. This is Clutch with Keon Rose. Thanks for hanging in there with me throughout everything that's been going on. Make sure to stick in here for Hot News Now at 5 on Hot News Talk Radio.
Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action.
Hot News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in the Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
We do the best quality work. We have the best customer service, the most competitive prices around.
Cell Surgeon, a painless operation to fix your sick device.
Well, if you have a cheap charger or something that's not really designed for your phone, it can mess with your battery. It can actually fry your phone. So you need to make sure you have a quality product that's going to be designed for your phone.
Cell Surgeon, your smartphone doctor is in the house at the Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
If you charge it in the morning and, by noon, it's at, 50% under normal use. That means your battery's pretty much dead. And once you've reached that point, it starts to deteriorate.
Cell Surgeon. Call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com.
We do free estimates. If your phone's not working properly, bring it in. We're more happy to take a look at it and diagnose it and see what we think is wrong with it at no charge. Most phone repairs can be done in 30 minutes or less.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
Don't take it in the bathroom. Don't ever put it in your back pocket. And don't charge your phone while you're sleeping.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. That's cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. Cell Surgeon, your smart device doctor is in the house.
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.